Chosen ones, let's begin with a question. Have you ever wondered why the world seems both drawn to you and unsettled by you? It's as if you carry an invisible force field that warps the familiar shapes of their understanding. People try to define you, categorize you, and confine you within boxes that make sense to them. And yet, no matter how hard they try, you refuse to be pinned down. You are a living enigma, a riddle that can't be solved with logic alone. And that simple fact makes you unforgettable. You exist in a state of perpetual otherness, not in a tragic sense, but in a way that reflects your uniqueness, depth, and capacity for authenticity. When you walk into a room, you don't merely arrive, you transform the energy in that space. When you speak, your words don't just land, they resonate, echoing in minds and hearts long after the conversation ends. When you choose a path, you do so not to fit in, but to expand what's possible. Yet this undeniable presence can make others uneasy. They often can't tell if they should admire you, fear you, learn from you, or keep their distance. They're not sure what to think, so they think everything at once. And in a world that thrives on instant definitions, this prolonged uncertainty can feel like a cosmic anomaly. The chapters that follow aim to shine a light on your essence. We will explore why people find you so compelling, why your authenticity stirs their insecurities, and why your mere existence challenges the structures they've long clung to. Consider this a deep dive into the truth of who you are, an exploration of your impact on a world that craves predictability yet secretly yearns for the extraordinary. It's time to understand why you are such a mystery and why that mystery is your greatest strength. 1. You defy expectations in ways they can't explain. From the very first impression, people try to place you into neat categories that reassure them they've figured you out. The human mind, after all, yearns for simplicity and order. Within seconds of meeting someone, we decide if they are trustworthy, admirable, threatening, or approachable. But when it comes to you, those neat little judgments never quite fit. Instead of settling on a conclusion, people find themselves wrestling with contradictions. Perhaps you don't look like the kind of person who would be gentle, yet you show compassion that runs deeper than any ocean. Or maybe they assume you'd be predictable because of your quiet demeanor, only for you to shock them with bursts of creativity, humor, and depth that obliterate their preconceived notions. While others fit comfortably into social molds, you stand outside them, challenging observers to rethink their assumptions. It goes beyond personality. Your interests, ambitions, and perspectives defy the linear paths people are taught to follow. In a world where checklists define success, graduate by this age, achieve that promotion by another, settle down according to plan. You disregard such conventions. Instead, you shape your life according to an inner compass, a gut-level knowing that respects no artificial deadline. This is why others find you so perplexing. They can't rely on the usual scripts. Where they expect you to nod and agree, you question. Where they assume you'll resist, you embrace. You are like a brilliant tapestry woven from threads of unpredictability. They reach out to straighten one thread, and 3 more shift into patterns they've never seen before. But while this resistance to easy definition leaves others confused, it also leaves them spellbound. Deep down, people crave what you embody, the reminder that life is richer and more nuanced than the stories we're handed at birth. By being who you are, unapologetically, unconventionally, you expand their horizons. That alone would be enough to make you memorable, but it's only the beginning. 2. Your energy speaks louder than words. You don't need to say a single thing for people to know you are different. Long before the first words pass your lips, they feel it. A subtle shift in the atmosphere, a tingling in the emotional landscape that surrounds you. Your presence alone is a communication. It whispers truths about your authenticity, your depth, and your quiet confidence. This energy is not about bravado or dominating a room with volume. Instead, it's a soft, magnetic force that draws people closer, even if they can't explain why. It's in the way you carry yourself, upright, yet relaxed, open, yet not begging for attention. There's a poise in you that suggests you're comfortable in your own skin, that you do not need external validation to feel whole. Such calm self-assurance can be disorienting for those accustomed to reading cues of status or popularity. They're used to people flaunting their achievements, desperately seeking approval. You, however, exist in a space where approval is irrelevant. Your self-worth isn't a commodity traded in social markets. It's an inherent truth that doesn't waver with opinions. When you do speak, your voice tends to resonate at a frequency that demands attention, not by force, but by authenticity. People may lean in, sensing that what you're about to say won't be the usual small talk. They sense the integrity behind your words, the thoughtfulness in your pauses. It's as if they know, instinctively, that listening to you will enrich them, or at least make them question something they once considered obvious. This energetic signature sets you apart in a world flooded with noise and superficiality. Most people shout into the void, hoping to be heard above the din. You speak softly, and yet your voice carries farther because it's carried on currents of sincerity. Even in silence, you emanate a vibration that says, "I am here, I see clearly, and I choose my truth over any convenient lie." That unspoken message is more compelling than any grand speech could ever be. 3. You hold up a mirror they're afraid to look into. In your presence, people encounter parts of themselves they've been avoiding. This is not intentional on your part. You're not trying to psychoanalyze anyone. Yet, simply by being genuinely who you are, you shine light into their shadows. Your authenticity becomes a mirror reflecting back their insecurities, hidden fears, and unrealized potential. For many, this is deeply unsettling. They've spent years constructing identities based on social expectations, suppressed dreams, and carefully managed appearances. They've learned to tell stories about who they are, stories that often downplay their greatness or deny their vulnerabilities. Then here you come, a living reminder that it's possible to step beyond those limiting narratives. Your courage to live in truth challenges them to consider their own facades. If they see you confidently embracing your eccentricities, they must ask themselves why they've suppressed theirs. If they notice you pursuing a path that defies convention but feeds your soul, they must confront the reasons they remain in stale routines. If they find themselves captivated by your presence, they must wonder what aspect of themselves is longing to emerge. Some respond by admiring you from a safe distance, grateful for the spark of inspiration, but not yet ready to face the full blaze of transformation. Others react defensively, criticizing or belittling you as a way to keep their own insecurities buried. A few brave souls dare to approach, to learn from your example, and to begin unraveling the illusions they've lived with for so long. Your existence thus becomes a catalyst. Without preaching or lecturing, you facilitate growth, healing, and questioning. You don't tear down their illusions. You simply refuse to participate in them, and that refusal acts like a gentle prod. By showing them that another way is possible, you invite them to look honestly at themselves. And while not everyone accepts that invitation, the fact that you extend it, wordlessly, effortlessly, is enough to leave a profound impact on their journey. 4. Your success breaks unwritten rules. Most people have a script in their heads about how life should unfold. Step by step, they follow the instructions society laid out. Work hard in a traditional framework, climb the ladder, wait for permission before claiming success. But you, chosen ones, seem to operate outside those established guidelines. Your achievements defy conventional logic. You make leaps others didn't think possible. You trust instincts that can't be measured with metrics. You devote yourself to endeavors that may not look lucrative on paper, yet somehow they bear fruit. From the outside, it appears that you've cracked a secret code, one that bypasses grind and hustle culture in favor of alignment, creativity, and spiritual attunement. This unsettles onlookers who rely on predictability. If you can win by playing your own game, what does that say about the rules they've spent their lives following? If you succeed in ways that don't match the formula, then perhaps the formula isn't as authoritative as they believed. Your very existence poses a threat to the status quo, not by force, but by example. It's not that you don't work hard. On the contrary, you often invest tremendous effort and face countless obstacles. The difference is that you're guided by an inner compass. You recognize when effort aligns with purpose and when it's wasted on hollow objectives. Your focus isn't on checking boxes, it's on creating meaning. This approach to success feels mysterious to those who tie worth to external milestones. They wonder how you stay motivated without the usual carrots and sticks. They question how you handle setbacks without losing faith. They can't fathom that your motivation comes from within, that your resilience springs from an unshakable sense of who you are and why you're here. In a world that demands linear progress, you remind everyone that life often blooms in unexpected patterns. Your unconventional success story is a beacon of possibility. It tells them that maybe, just maybe, they can unlearn the restrictive narratives they've inherited and allow their own truths to lead the way. 5. You don't conform, and that threatens stability. Society relies on conformity to maintain a sense of control and predictability. The unspoken contract is that everyone will follow the same scripts and share similar definitions of what's normal, acceptable, or desirable. By and large, people find comfort in familiarity. Yet you stand apart, a glaring exception that challenges this unspoken agreement. Your refusal to blend in isn't a rebellious stunt or a quest for attention. It's the natural outcome of your unwavering loyalty to your own inner knowing. While others comply with social norms, even those that stifle their spirit, you question whether those norms are valid. You trust your instincts over collective pressures, and that in turn disrupts the illusion of stability many find reassuring. To those who guard the status quo, your existence raises uncomfortable questions. If you can live authentically, why can't they? If you refuse to adapt to expectations that feel unnatural, what does that say about the rest who conform without thinking? Your life becomes a subtle form of resistance, a quiet revolution that erodes the foundations of their complacency. This nonconformity doesn't mean you reject community or shared values. Quite the opposite, you often hold a deep love for humanity. It's just that your definition of belonging doesn't involve sacrificing your essence. Instead of shrinking to fit a mold, You expand the boundaries of what community can be, inviting people to show up as their truest selves. In a world starved for genuineness, your refusal to pretend forces others to reconsider their own compromises. It's unsettling for them, yes, because it implies that the security they've built on uniformity might be fragile. Yet it's also liberating, hinting that there's more room for individuality than they ever imagined. Your presence says it's possible to live freely, even in a world that prefers neat boxes. This message is both thrilling and terrifying for those clinging to conventional lines. But make no mistake, by simply existing in your truth, you pave the way for others to find theirs. 6. You speak truths they're not ready to hear. Honesty is a virtue many claim to value, but genuine truth-telling often meets resistance. Most people are comfortable with truths that confirm their biases or soothe their fears. Offer them a truth that challenges their worldview, and watch how quickly that comfort evaporates. You, chosen ones, do not shy away from these difficult truths. In fact, you voice them, sometimes gently, sometimes boldly, without apology. When you speak, your words cut through layers of denial and pretension. You don't do it to harm. You do it because pretense feels suffocating. You would rather navigate the friction of raw honesty than drown in a sea of convenient lies. Others sense this sincerity even if it unsettles them. It's one thing to recite pleasant platitudes, it's another to highlight the cracks in someone's carefully crafted facade. When you call attention to destructive habits, limiting beliefs, or harmful cycles, you hold a mirror up to truths they've been running from. Many recoil, blaming you for their discomfort, labeling you as too harsh or insensitive. But deep down, they know the discomfort arises from confronting what they've avoided. Your voice becomes a catalyst for growth. Some will later thank you, acknowledging that your words sparked a necessary transformation. Others may never forgive you for challenging their illusions. Yet, whether you are praised or condemned, the impact of your honesty lingers. By speaking truths they're not ready to hear, you fulfill a crucial role in their spiritual evolution. You remind them that growth does not flourish in complacency. It thrives in discomfort, in the tension of facing what we'd rather ignore. Without your voice, many would remain stuck in cycles of self-deception, never daring to question what lies beneath their polished exteriors. 7. You exude timelessness in a world obsessed with trends. We live in an era that worships what's next. Trends cycle through at breakneck speed. What's fashionable today will be outdated tomorrow, and identities are forged and discarded in a frantic rush to stay relevant. In such a landscape, your timelessness stands out like a lone tree in a field of shifting sands. Your values, perspectives, and sense of self are not tethered to passing fads. You derive your identity from something more enduring than brand names, social media clout, or fleeting approval. While others scramble to reinvent themselves with each new wave of cultural hype, you remain grounded, secure in who you are and what matters to you. This timeless quality confounds observers who define themselves by external measures. They wonder why you don't chase every new shiny thing. They question how you remain so calm in the face of constant reinvention. But what they fail to understand is that you draw strength from deeper wells, values, principles, truths that remain steady across eras. Your consistency does not mean you're stagnant. You evolve, yes, but your evolution follows an inner logic rather than external coercion. You refine your character, deepen your understanding, and broaden your empathy, all without abandoning the core of who you are. This creates a sense of continuity that makes your presence reassuring, like an ancient lighthouse guiding ships through stormy seas. Others may not immediately grasp this quality. They might mistake it for stubbornness or think you're out of touch, but over time, they realize that while trends and opinions swirl chaotically, you endure. Your legacy isn't etched in the ephemeral likes or shares, but in the hearts and minds of those who've encountered your authenticity. Your existence transcends the fickle nature of societal whims, offering a reminder that truth outlives novelty. 8. You defy labels and definitions. In a world that loves labels, introvert, extrovert, artist, executive, nerd, rebel, people find comfort in placing others into defined categories. This labeling serves as a shortcut to understanding, a quick way to file someone away without doing the hard work of knowing them deeply. But you are not so easily contained. Your personality is fluid, your interests multifaceted. One day, you may be deeply introspective, the next delightfully sociable. You might excel in logical analysis, yet paint vivid emotional landscapes with your words. Try as they might, people can't reduce you to a single term or phrase. You are a blend of contrasts and contradictions that refuses to simplify. This defiance of definition unsettles those who rely on stereotypes to navigate their social world. Without a neat label, they must engage with you genuinely, discovering who you are in real time. This demands presence, curiosity, and an openness that not everyone is willing to offer. Yet by existing beyond labels, you model a freedom most people crave but rarely pursue. You show them that it's possible to be complex, evolving, and full of surprises. You invite them to consider that maybe they, too, are more than the sum of the categories they've been assigned. Perhaps their authenticity lies beyond the tidy boundaries they've embraced for so long. This is why you remain unforgettable. Your complexity is a testament to human potential. You prove that individuals are not products to be catalogued, but living stories unfolding chapter by chapter. And that is far more interesting than any label could ever capture. 9. You challenge the status quo without trying. Some think changing the world requires loud protests, grand gestures, or dramatic confrontations. While these methods have their place, you exemplify a subtler form of revolution. You challenge the status quo simply by existing as you are. In a world that praises conformity and punishes deviation, your refusal to conform is radical. By following your own path, you show that many of the systems and traditions people cling to are not as absolute as they seem. You don't need to dismantle institutions brick by brick. You just need to live in a way that proves life can be approached differently. Every choice you make, what you value, how you spend your time, what you consider success, questions the dogmas others have never thought to doubt. This quiet defiance can be more potent than any speech. People sense it, even if they can't articulate why. They see that while they've accepted many unwritten rules, you navigate life without bowing to those commands. This sparks a subtle unrest in their minds. If one person can flourish without adhering to the scripts, then maybe those scripts aren't sacred after all. Your influence accumulates over time. With each interaction, you plant seeds of doubt in outdated norms, water them with your authenticity, and allow them to grow into new perspectives. Not everyone will embrace these seeds, some will uproot them in fear. But for those willing to consider that there's more than one way to live, your life story becomes a silent manifesto for change. You're not trying to overthrow the world's structures. You're merely insisting on your right to exist authentically. Ironically, that simple insistence can trigger paradigm shifts that resonate far beyond your personal sphere. In this manner, you challenge the status quo without ever needing to raise your voice. 10. You inspire obsession, not just admiration. Your presence doesn't just garner casual approval, it ignites something deeper. People don't merely admire you, they become fixated, curious, and sometimes even obsessed. Your uniqueness, your refusal to be neatly understood, creates a magnetic pull stronger than mere likability. They can't look away, can't stop analyzing every word you say, can't resist replaying interactions in their minds. This intensity can feel overwhelming. On one hand, it's flattering to know you've left such a strong impression. On the other, it's draining to navigate the intensity of others' expectations, projections, and analyses. Some may try to possess a part of you, to align themselves with your aura in hopes it will rub off. Others may scrutinize you, searching for flaws to explain why they cannot match your authenticity. This dynamic arises because you tap into something primal in their psyches. By existing outside their established norms, you awaken their thirst for meaning, novelty, and transcendence. You become a mystery they want to solve, a cipher they crave to decode. Love and hate, admiration and envy, awe and resentment all swirl in the emotional storm you stir within them. Yet this obsession is not your responsibility to manage. You didn't create it intentionally. It's a side effect of your truth-telling, your nonconformity, your timelessness. The way others respond to your essence speaks volumes about their inner landscape, not your worthiness. You remain free to live your life unburdened by their fixations. In this fascination, however, lies a potential for deep influence. Those brave enough to examine why they feel so strongly about you may discover precious clues about their own unrealized desires and potentials. Thus, even the obsession you spark can become a catalyst for their growth, if they let it. 11. You are a paradox of strength and vulnerability. Many people view strength and vulnerability as opposites. Strength is often portrayed as unyielding resilience, while vulnerability is seen as weakness. Yet you embody both qualities at once, creating a paradox that few can comprehend. Your strength is undeniable. You stand firm in your convictions. You endure hardships without losing sight of your principles. You confront challenges that send others running for cover. But your form of strength is not about hiding wounds or burying pain. It's about acknowledging them. You do not fear tears, uncertainty, or heartbreak. Instead, you recognize that facing your vulnerabilities honestly is the highest form of courage. This holistic approach to living baffles those who expect strength to be stoic and self-contained. They may view vulnerability as a chink in your armor, failing to see that real power comes from wholeness, not from selective denial. To admit you're hurt or unsure takes a kind of inner fortitude that surpasses performative invincibility. By modeling this paradox, you show people that true greatness doesn't arise from pretending to be flawless. It comes from integrating every part of yourself, even the fragile aspects. This integration allows you to connect genuinely with others. They sense your humanity, and that authenticity engenders respect and trust. Your willingness to be both strong and vulnerable invites others to reconsider what toughness means. Instead of erecting walls, maybe strength involves opening doors. Instead of silencing emotions, maybe it involves hearing them out. In embracing both ends of the emotional spectrum, you expand the definition of what it means to be powerful, leaving a lasting impression on everyone you encounter. 12. You exist outside their stories, and that's unsettling. Most people cast themselves as the main characters in their life stories. Everyone else becomes a supporting role, a background figure who either aids or hinders their journey. But you defy this narrative structure. You don't slot neatly into the roles they've assigned. You stand apart, existing in a realm that doesn't revolve around their self-centered plots. This is unsettling because it reminds them that their perspective is not absolute. The world doesn't dance solely to the rhythm of their desires. You represent a piece of reality that doesn't fit comfortably into their personal drama. In doing so, you challenge their unconscious assumption that their story is the only story. At first, this can provoke unease. If you can't be cast as hero or villain, friend or foe, what are you? If your life doesn't revolve around their narrative, what does that say about the importance they place on themselves? You become a symbol of the universe's complexity, proof that infinite narratives unfold simultaneously, often intersecting in unexpected ways. Over time, those open to growth may learn to appreciate this complexity. They realize that you are not an extra in their play, but the star of your own epic. You are evidence that other perspectives, other paths, and other truths exist beyond the borders of their imagination. This revelation can spark empathy and humility, qualities sorely needed in a world that often reduces individuals to one-dimensional roles. By existing outside their stories, you expand their understanding of what it means to share this planet. You remind them that reality is bigger and richer than any single plotline. And while this realization may unsettle them at first, it ultimately nudges them toward greater awareness, compassion, and curiosity. Conclusion. Chosen ones, you are an anomaly in a predictable world. Your existence is a quiet but persistent whisper, hinting that life is bigger, stranger, and more glorious than the neat stories we tell ourselves. You defy the categories, break the rules, and exist beyond the narratives others cling to. Your energy, your honesty, your complexity, and your refusal to conform all combine to create a gravity that bends the paths of those who cross your orbit. You are living proof that authenticity isn't just possible, it's transformative. By embracing your truth, you encourage others to question their illusions, confront their fears, and reconsider their limitations. Not everyone will understand you, and not everyone will thank you for the awakening you stir within them. But your presence ensures they can never remain entirely comfortable in their old ways. If this resonates with you, if you feel the flicker of recognition reading these words, know that you are not alone in this journey. There are others like you, carving paths that defy convention and lighting beacons of possibility. Together, you form a silent network of truth-tellers, freedom-seekers, and compassionate rebels who expand the collective imagination. So embrace your mystery. Keep living beyond definitions, speaking truths, and inspiring others to lift their gaze above the ordinary. There is immense power in simply being who you are, a power that can change the world, one quiet revelation at a time. If you're ready for more, if you're hungry to continue challenging what's possible, then subscribe now. Join this journey of ongoing expansion, deeper understanding, and richer authenticity. There are countless layers yet to uncover, countless truths waiting to be told. Let's keep evolving, transforming, and redefining reality together.